Week 6 tonight, Thursday Night Football, 49ers versus the Seahawks. Divisional matchup. Niners need a win here. 2-3. I want to say the Cardinals are 1-4. Obviously Seahawks 3-2 as you see on the screen, and then the Rams also one. Actually, let me look at this. Let's see West. Let's take a look at the standings. Actually, I lied. Cardinals are also 2-3. Rams are 1-4. That's what I was thinking of. But this division turning and shaping out to be not as tough as I thought at the beginning of the year. The defenses are very lackluster. Seattle porous. 1 second, chat. Sorry about that, chat. Had to answer a phone call there, but as we were saying, NFC West, not as tough as we thought, right? The defenses are pretty weak. The Rams losing key offensive players, 49ers, no Christian McCaffrey. Cardinals defense sucks. The Seahawks defense, like I said, very porous. So there's a lot of injuries. Also, the Seahawks defense facing a lot of injuries. We'll go over the injury report here in a second, but that's my take on everything. But big game tonight. Like I said, Seahawks Niners should be big for fantasy as well. Again, offensively, I think the game line for this should be relatively high scoring. If we take a look at DraftKings Sportsbook, you can go ahead and see that this game nice. Well, it's not pulling up for me because I don't know if my phone sucks or if DraftKings sucks, but probably both. Okay, so we can't find it. Let's find the over-under. All right. Point spread 3.5. Over under 47.5. Yeah, so one of the higher scoring ones on the week. The highest scoring looks like Commanders Ravens. Yeah, so this one's actually one of the highest scoring games of the week, as expected. So injury report too. We can look here for the Niners. No Jordan Elliott, their D tackle. EFF linebacker out. Hufanga, the big loss, their safety out. Obviously, they have no kicker in Jake Moody. I want to say they signed somebody. Ward, which is another big one to keep an eye on going into the game. It's questionable. So a lot of key guys on their defense could be missing. However, Fred Warner will be playing. George Kittle, I know he was injured last week in that game. He is playing. He was full participant in practice. So you're playing him, obviously playing Jordan Mason, because as we'll see here, you're going to play every 49ers offensive player, really, every week. But especially this week, the Seahawks got ran all over by Tyron Tracy on the Giants, the rookie. So I expect a big game from Jordan Mason. And then if we're looking at the Seahawks defense, this is why. Their safety, questionable. Their linebacker, Boye Mafe, questionable. It does say it was a full participant in practice, though. That's strange. Byron Murphy out. Nwosu out. And Tariq Woolen, another big one, out. So, tons of key pieces, either questionable or out for the Seahawks defense, which means big things for potentially any of these Niners offensive players. We know multiple of them get home every week. Last week it was Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle. Jordan Mason still gets his, 15 to 20 touches a game, mostly on the ground. Debo could get home this game, who knows? Could be big plays. But yeah, expect a good game, especially fantasy purposes. Same thing on the Seahawks side. DK should be a smash. Geno has historically struggled versus the Niners, but in years past, the Niners defense has obviously been much better than it is this year. So I'll be starting DK and Geno Smith in my 10-man tonight as a stack. Again, I have Patrick Mahomes on a bye week. And Geno Smith has been getting it done with his legs. The Seahawks have been one of the highest pass rate teams in the league. Don't expect that to change tonight, as this could turn into a shootout. Kenneth Walker getting more involvement in the pass game too. That's something to look up on. Back to Geno Smith too. He's, I want to say, the QB7 this year, QB8 in points, but he's only thrown one touchdown pass each game. So if that can increase, or he can continue to use his legs and get in the end zone, a solid starter for sure. Probably a capped ceiling somewhat, but 20 points will get it done. For the other games this week, I mean, there's not going to be any game statuses as it's only Thursday and they haven't even practiced yet. So really yesterday was like the first practices of the week really that mattered. So nothing to really talk about. If we do look though about who didn't practice yesterday, Ramondre didn't practice with a foot issue. Rashid Shaheed didn't practice with a hip issue. Not that matters much. There's going to be no Derek Carr for at least this week. Jalen Warren, doubtful. Trace Sermon didn't practice due to a collarbone issue. Looks like now Jordan Whittington, I mean, they're on a bye, so it doesn't matter, but has a shoulder issue. Aaron Rodgers, questionable. Said Thursday he has an ankle hamstring, will practice in limited capacity, but will be ready for Bills game, so nothing to worry about there. Neighbor's still questionable. Is day-to-day. We'll get some work on the side of practice. Wednesday, he should be fine. Gus Edwards dealing with something. Could be Kamani Vidal weak. Mixing with JK finally. Kamara didn't participate due to hip and hand, but we know he's a veteran, so taking some time there. Jonathan Taylor didn't practice, so him and Trey Sermon not practicing. Tough outlook there for Indy. Goodson would be the other back. If Anthony Richardson does play, or if Joe Flacco plays, really, we'd expect them to not really lean on the run game whatsoever going into Tennessee. And Tennessee is not someone you want to run on anyway. They're more of like a pass funnel there. Let's look at, if we go ahead and pull up NFL Pro, we can kind of take a look at where Tennessee ranks. June Lee. Just seeing your question now, boy. Let me see. Appreciate you for tuning in. Someone offered me CD for AJ Brown and Walker. New to fantasy, is that worth it? Now, you made it through the AJ Brown bye week. So his bye's behind him, and you made it through 4 weeks without him and his injury. I think CD and AJ Brown are comparable, both top 5 for the rest of the season. And Kenneth Walker is going to be top 10 running back given it if he stays healthy. So definitely don't take that. Now, if he was offering CD and another running back, that's a different story. But to give up 2 top 10 at their position in fantasy, AJ Brown top 5, definitely not worth going to get CD for 2 guys. Appreciate the question. All right, so if we're looking at team defense, I mean, the Titans has just been sturdy on defense. Let's look at injuries. Rachaad White finally shows up on the injury report as well. White limited at Wednesday's practice due to a foot injury. Could be Bucky Irving seasoning. Jacoby Myers is showing up on the injury report. Didn't practice Wednesday. Could be veteran rest. Who knows? Brian Robinson, non-participant with a knee injury. Justin Herbert's still questionable with an ankle, limited, but he should be fine playing. Devontae Adams, probably going to miss. Not going to play Sunday. Christian Watson, limited participant, so that's kind of big news for Dontavian Wicks, as Romeo Doubs is also back. Gabe Davis now questionable, limited in practice with a knee injury. As we noted, Nico Collins on IR, so should see a bump up in Diggs and Dell usage. ETN questionable. Darnell Mooney, Evan Ingram, let's see his progress. Limited participant in practice. James Cook now questionable. Didn't practice due to foot and toe injuries, seemingly a turf toe injury, which could definitely sideline him for at least a game. Joe Mixon still not practicing. It does seem like Dameon Pierce will play this week. So look for him to be the lead back. Cam Akers kind of got replaced by Agumbawale. Deontay still taking care of that ankle, but he'll be fine. Michael Pittman, an IR candidate. So that's news there. Big for Josh Downs. Alec Pierce, Adonai Mitchell, and Josh Downs should be the 3 wide receivers playing. Richardson limited. Zach Moss didn't practice Wednesday, foot, so it could be Chase Brown season. Josh Downs dealing with his own injury, actually. Toe, didn't practice. Didn't see the injury, but potentially turf toe. Khalil Shakir didn't practice with his ankle injury, but they do play Monday night, so not a big deal. That's it for injuries. Let's go ahead and look at the rankings this week. Makes sense that these two are number 1. I mean, the top 3 is pretty standard. Finally, Joe Burrow getting some love. I mean, these rankings are pretty solid, in my opinion. Again, we're talking PPR rankings here. Josh Allen's been struggling. It's tough to go against any of the... I mean, I think these quarterback rankings are pretty good in my opinion. The Kirk Cousins stuff, I really wouldn't have him there. Just because Carolina is such a run funnel, like you could probably go ahead and move Daniel Jones up a bit, maybe in place of Kirk Cousins. In my opinion, like Geno Smith, Daniel Jones, I like them more than Kirk Cousins on a week to week just because they can move. Same with Baker. Like they have the potential to run and get some yardage on the ground. So ahead of Kirk Cousins. CJ Stroud against New England. With no Joe Mixon but Dameon Pierce back, they could look to run a little bit more. It's so tough to say. Justin Fields shouldn't have to do much against Vegas. We go ahead and look at running backs. It's tough not to have Henry to 1. I'd probably take Saquon above Derrick Henry. Cleveland defense has been just an easy matchup in general. Jordan Mason at 3. I know Bijan has this advantageous matchup against Carolina, but so much in me wants to think that Tyler Algier gets work in this game, and we start to think that Atlanta's going to have 20 plus rush, or not 20 plus, 30, maybe 40 rush attempts against this Carolina defense with a positive game script where they're just running the ball and sustaining a lead and playing a little slower than normal. So to have Bijan at 5, where he's only done this once in his career, and he still disappoints last week when the Atlanta offense goes nuclear, Kirk Cousins goes nuclear, everyone else pops off besides him. Even with this matchup, I personally can't rank him here. He's got to drop below Gibbs for me, who's in a great matchup against Dallas. And including that, there's no way Dave Montgomery could be 15th against Dallas when Gibbs is 6th, when Montgomery is beating Gibbs in points this year. So I would go ahead and put Montgomery top 10, even with Gibbs back to back. in like that 5-6 spot. Brees Hall's been struggling, but good matchup against Buffalo. But I would go ahead and move Josh Jacobs up with a good matchup. So I have Gibbs at 5, Montgomery at 6, Jacobs at 7. I'd probably put Bijan at 8. Have Brees at 9, Connor at 10. Keep Walker at 11. Move Chuba down 1 to 12. Swift's got to move down just a hair. Jacksonville's run defense is solid, but he'll still get work in the passing game. So I'd move Pollard ahead of him. Pollard ahead of Cook. The Jets defense has been brutal in terms of matchups, just for anybody. Chase Brown's fine where he's at. Still moving Najee down. But I don't really know who to move ahead of Najee. Probably Bucky up. If that Rachaad White injury lingers. If Bucky is the starting back with no Rachaad White, you can move Bucky up to like 18. Then the rest of these players, it's just tough to rank. If Tracy has the backfield to himself, he gets a bump. Go ahead, take a look at wide receivers. CD ranked 1 again against Detroit for obvious reasons. Pass defense wise, EPA per pass. It's more just thinking it's going to be a shootout. But the Lions are no gimme. Yeah, they go up a lot of yards, but still taking Chase at 1. There's just no way to not rank Jamar Chase at 1 at this point in the year in rankings. So I'd have to go Chase at 1. I'd go ahead and put Neighbors at 2 if he's healthy. Lamb at 3. These are just kind of based off of Detroit Dallas going to be a shootout, but again, Lamb at 3. Go ahead, Amon-Ra at 4, I guess. Put AJ Brown at 5. I don't think Drake London needs to do as much this game against Carolina. Where you could go ahead and move Jaden Reed to 6. Move Drake London down to like 7, 8. I'd go ahead and bump DK up to maybe 8 or 9. Bump Diggs down. Wilson in a tough matchup versus Buffalo. Unfortunately, I'd probably bump. He's going to get the volume, that's the thing, but tough matchup. I don't think he's top 12 this week. Like, go ahead and move like Zay up. Or T. Continue to look. Terry McLaurin should have a big game too against Baltimore. They're going to have to air it out. Let's go ahead and put Terry in the top 12. Let's bump Garrett Wilson down to like 17, 18. McLaurin into 12. Bump T and Zay up together to 13, 14. And Ayuk in that tier. So kind of like low-end wide receiver ones this week. Evans has Lattimore this week, but I'm not worried about that. What's New Orleans defense been like this year? EPA per play. Been pretty sturdy. But they are giving up a ton of yards per game. Mostly where? In the air. For the most part, so Saints easier to throw on than run on, which is good news for Godwin and Mike Evans. if I'm gonna have AJ Brown, the thing is they're gonna be able to run all over Cleveland. I only think AJ Brown gets home this week instead of Devonta Smith. I'm fine with ranking him lower. Olave needs to go lower with no Derek Carr. Brian Thomas is going to be in a brutal matchup against Chicago. Call me crazy, but I think we do move JSN above Olave and Brian Thomas into these 20s. And then the rest is just kind of dart throws per usual. We never really know what's going to happen. Tank Dell all the way at 34 is kind of crazy when we have Diggs at 9 with no Nico Collins. So again, we haven't seen anything from Dell, so that's the problem. But to have him that far down and big of a discrepancy between the two is unlikely, in my opinion. But if we're looking at team defenses, EPA per play, New England's been all right. If we're looking at yards per game, they give up a ton. And it's mostly through the air. So let's go ahead and move them up. Dell should be up here more. In this tier player, Amari Cooper, Jameson Williams tier, not so much in this boom bust tier of Christian Kirk. I think he starts to get more volume than these guys. I'd expect an 8-9 target game for Dell. Kind of in line with like what Amari does, but more efficient targets. And the rest of these guys, it's tough. It's tough to even know what's going to happen. Tight end wise, it's gross. Kittle, McBride, Ferguson, Bowers, all must starts. And then from there, Laporta hoping you get home in a shootout. Same with Kraft. Same with Kincaid. Same with Pitt. Like, those guys, it's tough. Goddard's going to move down with AJ Brown and Devonta Smith back. So, the rest of these guys unknown. The top 4 are just like the top 4 for the rest of the year. That's who you think is just going to be the ones. The potential to be the tight end 1 are these 4 guys right here. If you have these other guys, good luck. That's about it. I mean, let's go ahead and look at defensive matchup this week. Steelers 1, Eagles 2, Texans 3. IDP matchups. Interesting. But that's it for the rankings. Don't have much else to say this week for the preview. Let's actually go to the schedule. Let's look at matchups. We can predict who's going to take it home this week. So this week, let's go ahead and pick. The Niners need a dub on the road in Seattle. I think with Seattle's defense being so bad, I think the Niners can get it done. So the Niners are favorites, but we'll take the favorite here. Jaguars, Bears in London. Let's go ahead and take Jaguars are no longer winless. London's tough to predict. Let's go ahead and take the team with the better defense and the rising offense versus the team who's struggling in the air. And Caleb's looking better every week, so we'll go Bears. Niners, Bears. Bucks is an obvious one with Spencer Rattler starting for the Saints. We'll go ahead and take The Ravens, I don't think the Commanders can come into Baltimore and win. If they do, that's a big statement. Congrats for that. But the Niners, Bears, Bucks, Ravens. This Packers game. Cardinals come off on a big win on the 49ers. But it's in Lambeau. Let's go ahead and take the home team. We'll take the Packers. Colts, Titans. Let's go ahead and actually take the Titans this game at home. Their defense has been super solid off the bye week. Hopefully they can get something cooking. Eagles in this one. Texans, Patriots. We'll go ahead and take Texans. I mean, a lot of favorites this week. Like outright favorites, where it's not even that close. Chargers, Broncos would be closer. Let's actually take the Chargers fresh off the bye. I know the Broncos defense is solid, but we'll go with the Chargers off the bye week. Steelers, Raiders. We're going to take the Steelers. Falcons, Panthers. Falcons, of course. Lions, Cowboys. We will go ahead and take... I like the Cowboys in this one. No, we'll take the Lions in this one. Because they're going to be able to run a lot. And then Bengals, Giants on Sunday night. It's tough because it's actually a decent matchup, especially with Malik Neighbors back. Bengals do need to win. So we'll say Bengals. They need a dub. They're 1-4. Can't go 1-5. I mean, they already can't be 1-4. So we'll take the Bengals there in New York. And then the Monday night game, Bills, Jets. It's looking like a Bills game. But they struggled last week against a good defense. So go ahead and take the Jets on that Monday night game. The Jets do need a dub. They're 2-3. They just fired their head coach. Maybe they get some juice going. They can catch a win in division on Monday night. So we went Jets, Bengals, Lions, Falcons, Steelers, Chargers, Eagles, Texans, Titans, Packers, Ravens, Bucks, Bears, Niners. Mark it down. Take the money lines. Lock it in. But that'll pretty much wrap it up. Let's go ahead and actually look real quick. Just at pass defense, run defense. Who's giving up the most EPA per pass? Jaguars defense getting scorched. And they're playing the Bears. That's why we're taking the Bears. I think Caleb looks good. The Rams getting scorched. The Panthers getting scorched per pass. But a lot of teams are opting to run on the Rams and Panthers more so than pass because of positive game script. Bengals are getting scorched in the air. So it could be a good day for Danny Dimes. I expect that game to be better than what most think. And the Commanders. So those are the worst 5 in EPA per pass. So we're looking at EPA per rush. The worst in the league. Cowboys still. That's why I picked Detroit for Montgomery and Gibbs to be both potential almost top 5. Definitely top 8 options together. The Bucks, surprisingly. But teams are still not choosing to run a lot on the Bucks because of their offense being able to put up points. The Rams, however, teams are opting to run more than 50% of the time, and they're very porous there. The other two that are tied, the Texans and the Bengals for EPA per rush. Now the Texans, because of their ability to put up points, obviously teams are opting to not run as much on them, but it is possible if you want to slow the game down and play it that way. And then the Bengals, their defense as a whole was just really bad. EPA per play, it's third worst with the Rams and Jags. So use that knowledge how you will for your matchups this week, but appreciate you guys tuning in. If you have any questions for your matchups, lineups, I know there's bye weeks. In the bye weeks this week, the Rams, Dolphins, the Chiefs, and I forget who the last one is on by. But if you have any questions on that, who you need to fill in for your rosters, drop a comment, drop a like, drop a subscribe. And yeah, we'll see you on hopefully Monday for an overreaction Monday. Hopefully we get that out to you. If not, we'll see you on Tuesday for a best ball recap, or maybe potential just stream in between some of those. But good luck week 6. Appreciate y'all. Bye.